Hi there, and welcome to Her Season of Strength, where women over 40 reclaim their bodies, their energy, and their voices without apologies. I'm Kim Duffy, registered dietitian, personal trainer, mom, and your biggest hype woman when it comes to aging like you mean it. This show isn't about chasing skinny or counting wrinkles. It's about building real strength, physical, emotional, and hormonal. Each week, I'll share straight-talking nutrition tips, sustainable fitness strategies, and conversations that help you feel powerful in your skin once again. Menopause isn't an ending, it's only the beginning. This is your season of strength. Hello, and welcome back to Her Season of Strength. I am so happy you're here, and thanks for just taking a minute out of your day to listen in. So today I wanted to chat about strength training. I know that you guys hear me talk about this all the time, but I want to specifically talk to those women over 40. I want to help you understand why do we care? Why is strength training so important? What exactly is it? And how can we create a program that actually helps us to see progress and see results, right? So before we dive into that, I just wanted to tell you that I am in my 5-day launch for my signature 8 weeks Fit After 50 Plus program. And that is my nutrition and strength program for women over 40. I know it's called Fit After 50, but I do take women over 40. Basically, I'm looking for those women who are seeing hormonal changes. I'm looking for women who are struggling with finding ways to work with their changing body as compared to against it, right? And so it is my program where we dive into specifically, what types of strength training workouts, what kind of nutrition should we be focusing in on in order to balance or support our hormones, in order to build our strength, to build our metabolism, to help stop this random fat gain, which we are seeing, but also to move away from the idea of we're always trying to get smaller. We're always looking at how can we lose weight, and I'm doing little air quotation marks, because we need to move away from that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah, it's an awesome program. We start on Monday, February 23rd. The doors close for enrollment on Friday, February 20th. So that is going to be when this episode comes out, that is going to be the next day. So if you're listening to this and that sounds interesting to you, I will put the link in the show notes and you can take a look at it. We'll talk a little bit more about it here towards the end of the podcast, and I'll give you some more specifics. But let's just dive in. So if you know me, or if you've listened to me before, when I say I didn't start strength training until I was in my 40s, it's actually, it's truly true. I didn't. I exercised before that. I did cardio. I took classes. I chased sweat because I always felt like if I was sweating, that meant it was a good workout, right? But if I'm honest, I started lifting because, first of all, my weight was higher than it had ever been. And it continued to slowly increase every year due to perimenopause. And I didn't realize it at the time. But I had noticed that I had started gaining weight in an area I've never had a problem with, in my waist. I mean, as a big-butted, pear-shaped girl, I never had to worry about my waist. It was always kind of in my legs and butt. And I started panicking. I wanted to stop that. I wanted to lose weight, get smaller. I wanted to be quote unquote toned. Okay. I wanted my arms to look better in tank tops. But fast forward more than a decade later, and my mindset is just absolutely shifted. Now I don't care so much about getting smaller. I care about being strong enough to carry my own luggage, strong enough to play with my grandbaby, strong enough to not worry about falling and breaking a hip or getting hurt, strong enough to open jars without staging some kind of full production and having to ask my husband for help. I hate that. And strong enough just to, most importantly, live the life that I want to live. I want to travel. I want to be independent. I want to be active, most importantly. I don't want to slow down, become more sedentary. I want to speed up. I want to do more, right? I'm 50. I'm going to be 55 here in a couple weeks. And here's what I know for sure. If you're a woman over 40 and you are not strength training intentionally, we need to have this conversation. You need to listen in, because cardio alone isn't going to protect your future. Strength training should be kind of a non-negotiable after age 40. because let's break down specifically what is actually happening in your body. So starting in our 30s, we begin losing muscle. It's slow at first, then it accelerates, especially once our estrogen starts declining consistently. So less estrogen means faster muscle loss. It means decline in our bone density. It means increased belly fat storage, like I was telling you. That's why we're starting to see kind of our midsection specifically. Our midsections are just kind of getting wider. And we can also see a slower metabolism. And here's the part that no one talks about enough is that muscle is your metabolic engine, right? When we lose muscle, we are going to lose that metabolic flexibility. We're going to lose strength. We're going to lose stability. We're going to lose balance. And over time, that impacts our independence. It's not about vanity here. It's about preventing falls. I mean, I never used to, like, if I was in my 20s or 30s, I'd be like, oh my gosh, talk about not falling and breaking a hip. But you know what? As we get older, that becomes a real thing, right? We want to prevent falls. We want to preserve our bone density because we are much more inclined to be diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis. We want to maintain good blood sugar control because we know that this is so important when it comes to balancing or supporting our hormones, right? Is blood sugar control. And I've talked about that so many times before. We want to support our joint health because we start feeling everything, right? Oh, my knees, oh, my hips, oh, my shoulders, oh, my elbows, oh, my ankles, whatever. We start to notice more pain and issues in all of the joints. We want to protect our metabolism, and we want most of all to feel more confident, to build that self-esteem, because we can definitely see it take a hit as we aren't as active, as we do gain weight or increase body fat. You know, we do take a hit in our self-esteem, and strength training can help with all that, I promise. And I want to gently challenge something. For so many years, women were taught to focus on weight loss. What comes to mind is I think about those women like back in the 50s with the, I don't even know what it's called, but with those bands, they were standing in those machines and they had those big giant rubber bands around their waists and it was just jiggling them, right? And they were like, oh, help to decrease inches around your waist and help to lose weight by just standing there doing nothing while this band jiggled your waist. You didn't see men on these machines, you saw women. But what if instead we focused on strength gain? What if the win was lifting heavier this month than last month? What if the win was feeling more stable, walking downstairs or up hills or standing on one leg or hopping and skipping with your kids or your grandkids? What if the win was feeling more energy at 3 p.m., that time when normally we're just like, we're pooping out, we're looking for some caffeine or a little treat or something to pick us up. 3 p.m., it's just that lull when we need that nap. It's a whole different mindset and it changes everything. So let's touch base of why it can be that women are saying, I've been working out and nothing is changing. Because this is where it gets important. Muscle does not grow from random workouts because our bodies adapt very quickly. If you lift that same 8 or 10 pound dumbbell for 3 years, your body has zero reason to adapt and change. It's not being challenged. Cardio has its benefits, right? I'm not anti-cardio. I think it's very important to keep our hearts healthy with cardiovascular endurance. So I do believe that it is important, but as the sole form of exercise, it does not build muscle effectively. It can be very, very, very good for mental health. I absolutely 100%. I mean, there's nothing better than getting outside and going for a brisk walk in the sunshine. Nothing better for your mental health. But muscle is the key player here. If you want to build muscle, if you want to improve bone density, if you want to boost your metabolism, you need something called progressive overload. And if you've listened to any of my other episodes, I know that I touch on this. I talk about this frequently because it simply means that we're giving our body a reason to adapt and change. We're giving it more load. We're giving it more volume. We're giving it more tension. We're giving it more demand. Without that, we're just maintaining at best. Okay. So this is where I want to walk you through something simple and practical. And it's a framework that I use in all of my strength programs. And it is called my STRONG framework, STRONG. And I want you to use this to think about progressive overload, because strength is not random. It's structured. We need a structure. We need a plan. So let's break it down. STRONG. S is for sets. Sets are just, simply how many rounds of each exercise you do. 2 sets versus 3 sets changes that stimulus. Obviously, it's going to take you a little more time to do more sets. But sometimes you can do less exercise and more sets of that same exercise and see improvement. So over time, increasing total volume can help signal muscle growth in your body. You don't always have to lift heavier to progress. Sometimes just adding in another set is progression. The next letter is T. T it stands for total body and time under tension. Total body means just we're hitting all those major muscle groups. I always find it funny. You think about guys always focusing on their arms, their biceps, wanting to be strong up top, but then they skip leg days, so they have these tiny little bird legs. But total body just means that we're hitting all those major muscle groups. It's so important just for full body core strength, just whole body strength. We're doing push exercises, we're doing pull exercises, we're doing hinging exercises, we're doing squat exercise, we're doing core. Our body works as a system, so we train it as a system. But time under tension matters too. So if you slow an exercise down, I call this tempo, you can also increase that muscular demand. So if we're slowing things down, especially in the eccentric phase, which is usually kind of the lowering phase, that's where a lot of growth can happen. So I love to do that. And it can be challenging. Don't get me wrong. Say you're doing a deadlift and you slowly go down and then we pop back up, slowly go down, pop back up. We can do this with all of our exercises, which really can help to increase that amount of time that muscle is under tension. And we can see a lot of progress, a lot of growth from this. Momentum and speed is not our friend. We're not always looking to just bust a move through every single exercise, right? We're not going to see as much progress with that. So R stands for repetitions, and repetitions matter. We can do lower repetitions with heavier weight to build strength. We can do moderate repetitions. They're going to build muscle. And then we're going to notice that those high repetitions, so if we're doing, 12, 14, 16, 20 reps, they're going to be more inclined to build endurance because we're likely not going to be able to lift as heavy. We're not going to be able to use as heavy of a weight for that many reps, right? So here is the important part. You need to get close to fatigue. So if you're doing, 20 reps of bicep curls with 10-pound weights, and you feel like I always ask my clients after they finish with that exercise, how many more could you have done? And if they say 10, say, okay, we need to go up in weight because this is not a heavy enough weight to challenge you and to, get to that close to fatigue point. So if you finish a set and said, I could have done 10 more, it probably wasn't heavy enough. That's where a lot of women get stuck. They're working hard, but not challenging their muscles enough to grow, right? O stands for optimize recovery. So this is the one we forget. We don't get stronger during the workout. We get stronger when we recover and our body adapts after the workout. That means in order to optimize recovery, we need to give our muscles enough protein to actually rebuild because we've kind of tore them down in those workouts. We need to get enough sleep to recover. We need to provide our body with some rest days, right? So at least resting the muscles that you've worked. So it doesn't mean that every other day I have to have a full rest day. I can't do anything. That's not the case. But maybe, you're doing leg days. You're having, then the next day you're doing arm days, or maybe you're doing some light cardio, And then lastly, super important. I know many people don't think that this, plays or makes as much of a difference, but it's managing stress. Stress is huge. I talked about that in my last podcast where I was talking about my 5M system. We talked about the importance of mindfulness and managing your stress. Because recovery is not laziness, it's strategy. I mean, it's actually part of the plan. So now N in my strong framework is note. Note how your body feels. This is just about awareness. Are your joints talking to you? Are you having pain with certain movements? That's a no-go. We don't do pain. Sometimes if we're having pain or discomfort with certain movements, it can mean that our form is not good. Our form's off, because sometimes it's a matter of just changing even the slightest movement or changing the slightest positioning, and you can see that, oh gosh, that doesn't bother me anymore. But it can also be like, say you have a bad knee, you have a bad hip or something, you're having pain, then maybe we need to try a different movement. Maybe this movement is not right for you. So another piece of noting how your body feels, are you noticing that your energy is improving? Are you noticing that you're getting stronger week to week? You're able to lift heavier amounts. You're not getting quite as winded or tired after the workouts. You're bouncing back a lot quicker. Pay attention, because progress is not just numbers. It's about how you feel walking through your life, right? Now, G and our last letter is growth. Physical growth, mental growth, growth in confidence. The moment you realize I can do hard things, I'll tell you what, that growth spills over into everything. It is so cool to see that. Because for women, I don't know, I think sometimes we can really be reliant on men to do everything for us, especially like those hard things that we deem as oh, that's, men versus women's work, right? Oh gosh, I can't go out and, work on the car. I can't build something. I can't retile my bathroom. I don't know. It's kind of cool as a woman to go, I can do this. Like, I can do whatever I set my mind to. I think that's pretty awesome. And it can really be eye-opening, especially for women our age. Especially for women, in their 40s and 50s, that maybe they've always had their father or their husband or another male figure kind of doing all the quote-unquote hard things for them. So I want to talk about the real stuff, because I know what stops women from strength training. Things like, I don't know what exercises to do. I'm scared I'll hurt myself. How heavy is heavy enough? Some women are like, I feel ridiculous in the free weight section. Maybe you don't feel comfortable going and picking up weights and doing an exercise because you feel like, oh, I look silly, or maybe I'm not doing it right, or the gym bros are going to be judging me. Another thing, women are scared of bulking up. Women are, I tell you, this has got to be the biggest one, is I don't have time. And this is one that really makes me sad, because, we know that time is relative. And I know you might be busy, but like, how important is your health? Because the moment when, something comes up and you're not able to do the things that you normally do, is when we kind of realize, oh gosh, you know what? My health is important. I should have prioritized my self-care better. All of these things, they make sense, because most of us were never taught how to lift properly, unless you were like an athlete in high school or something, or in college. Most women were, this is not a comfortable area where they just jump in and go, oh yeah, I can do this, right? We were told to do cardio and eat less. Walking into that weight room, it can feel intimidating. And I remember feeling that way. But here's the truth. We don't need to be doing this 90 minutes a day. We don't need fancy machines. We don't need to bulk up. And by the way, that's very hard to do. You're not going to get bulky, I promise you. You need structure. You need progression, and you need guidance, and that's it, right? Just to get to that point where you're like confident and go, oh yeah, I can do this. Like, I know this exercise. I know what kind of weight I use for this. I know proper form. And this is exactly what I use in my Fit After 50 program. It's because I kept seeing women at the gym just doing random workouts, feeling frustrated because they're not seeing progress, or they're not seeing results, even though they're working their butts off. So inside the Fit After 50 program, that's why we do workouts that are 30 minutes in length, because I don't want women to say, I'm too busy, I don't have enough time, right? I want something that's easy for them to slide into their schedule. And, the goal for strength training is usually 2 to 4 times a week. So in my Fit After 50 program, I have 4 workouts per week. And I always hope that I encourage women to look at what they're currently doing. If you're not doing any strength training at all, then maybe 2 times a week is amazing, at least to start with. And let's work our way up. What fits into your life, into your schedule, and where are you starting from? Because that's the most important piece. You can't put everybody into this same cookie cutter framework. And I build my workouts around progressive overload. So I'm adjusting things like reps and sets and time under tension and all of the things, because I want to apply all of those things in that strong framework automatically, so that you're not having to think about that. Oh gosh, am I going to see results or progress from this? And I deliver it in a personalized phone app so that, you can literally take your workouts wherever you go, and you can do them wherever you are. So maybe you're traveling for work, you're in a hotel room, you got your phone and you got your workout. You have no excuse. And we can deal with, the I'm busy, I don't have a lot of time, because you can do them wherever you are, as long as you have some dumbbells and there's even some exercises that, we're only using body weight, right? And some of the exercises I use those fabric loop bands, which I think you can do so much with. I love those, especially for kind of activation exercises to start workouts with. And I provide everyone with form videos for each individual exercise, because you can see exactly what is the proper way to do this exercise. I don't want to get hurt. What are the cues that I need to remember? What muscle am I working on? I don't want there to be guesswork. I want women to know exactly what to do, not wandering around the gym, no wondering like, oh gosh, is this program, working? Am I going to be successful in it? Because it's built specifically for menopausal women. Your body deserves a program that actually understands it personally, intimately. And so the Fit After 50 program, I was telling you that my doors close tomorrow. So if you've been, sitting on the fence, this is me gently nudging you. You don't need more motivation. You need a plan that works. And yeah, the Fit After 50 program also contains a large nutrition component, as well as weekly coaching calls, just to help you to stay on track, to stay motivated, to stay accountable, so that you're not quitting after trying a couple of times because you're frustrated. You can ask your questions. You can say, hey, you know what? I can't do this movement. What is something else that I can do? Because honestly, this stage of life has made me more committed to strength than ever. Becoming a grandmother has shifted things for me. I want to be active. I want to be capable. I want to be energized, not just now, but in 10, 20, and 30 years from now. Because strength training isn't about looking a certain way anymore. It's about showing up for the life that you want. And I want that for you too. So let's bring this full circle. So strength training after 40, it's not optional if you want to age well. Progressive overload is required if you want to see change, because random workouts, they're not going to show you that progress or those results. We need a structured plan. So let's shift that focus from weight loss to strength gain, from shrinking to building, from chasing skinny to protecting our independence and our quality of life for the future. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Give me a like, give me a follow. I would love that. Leave a rating or a review so more women can find this message. And if Fit After 50 Plus has been on your mind, if you're thinking about it, today is your day to decide, because tomorrow the doors close. Okay? You can find the link in the show notes. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@strengthandnutrition.com. Send me an email and I'd be happy to chat with you. And remember, this is about progress over perfection. We're in this for the long haul, and this is your season of strength. Have a fantastic day.